The Eternals hype is impressive, and I'm not quite sure where it's coming from. I mean, Chloe Zhao is definitely an incredible filmmaker, but it's not like anybody went to see Nomadland. In fact, many of us were kind of surprised that it won so many Oscars. Like, I think we all felt it should be nominated, but I think there were some other films that deserved a bit more love. Nomadland in some ways swept the Oscars this past year. It's hard to tell how Nomadland did at the box office. Well, the number is awful. But it came out during a pandemic, and it debuted day and date on Hulu. And I think, as I recall in the Nielsen rankings, it did pretty well. I mean, it never was number 1, but it's not like it was number 10 in the rankings. So I am very curious to see. Chloe Zhao can win gold, but can she earn cold hard cash at the box office? I mean, she has no better opportunity than working with Marvel. And some of you pointed out in the recent Entertainment Weekly coverage, it was Chloe Zhao's idea to work with Marvel. So she's very smart. She's very, very savvy. So I'm curious to see if she can pull this off. Now, there's a lot of hype, as I said, and some of us, like myself, don't quite get it. But I'm starting to get it. So I'm going to walk you through my thought process at the beginning of this trailer breakdown so that if you're like me, you can maybe understand this movie a little better too. So let's get real, man. While I believe in God, and I do say a prayer every night that I made it myself, I wouldn't describe myself as a religious person. I would say I'm a Tony Stark type person. I love Tony Stark and everything he stands for. And by the way, rewatching this trailer to do my notes for this breakdown, I realized that Selma Hayek's Ajax was saying Tony Stark was irresponsible to bring everybody back with just a snap. This Tony Stark hate's gotta stop. Although I came to understand that line a little better. Hold on. I also hate camping, really hate camping. I'm not a big nature fan. I don't like getting in touch with your feelings or any holistic stuff. So I have a lot of hurdles to overcome with this movie, right? But I'm willing to try. And one of you made an excellent point in the comment section of my trailer reaction. And that's in addition to the 7-day timeline that I'm not even a religious person. And I was like, God reference. The whole movie is about religion and how, let's remember that while we're upset that the Eternals haven't interfered over the centuries, neither is God. He or she or it has let a lot of horrible things happen, except when demons are involved. And this all starts to make a little bit more sense. And maybe it will win some Oscars or be nominated. Back to Tony Stark. He was playing God, I guess you could say. And I guess humanity, the more technologically advanced we become, and what is Tony Stark if not the human embodiment of technological advancements, we kind of encroach on God's territory. So I understand the criticism of Ajax a little bit more, but I still would have done what Tony Stark did, and I think he was totally right to do it. But anyway, the Eternals, I think we need to think of them as angels. They're not the gods themselves. They're angels, which makes their power set make even more sense. They're fighting demons, and they work for the Celestials, and those are the ones who are the gods. Theology students gonna have a field day. It reminds me a bit of the work of Neil Gaiman. So that leads to the question, his accessible work? Can we get a Good Omens crossover? This movie needs some David Tennant. Or his inaccessible work. I could not get into American Gods as hard as I tried. And I have to say, none of Neil Gaiman's stuff really crosses over to the mainstream. So on that note, this movie reminds me a little bit of Blade Runner 2049, the Suicides. I guess I'm talking about films that film Twitter really love. And so it can kind of skew what the thought process is by the general public and how excited they might be. So we have a very interesting head-to-head coming up, and then we have 2 movies like that. Denis Villeneuve's Dune, and now Marvel's Chloe Zhao's Eternal. Yeah, Villeneuve versus Zhao. That's a pretty impressive artistic matchup. Releasing back to back. That's so stupid. These movies should not be so close. But, and I have to say, if anyone can overcome the problems that really super intellectual works have in entertainment, with the mainstream, it's Marvel. Also, I was talking to someone the other day, and they had a good critique of Villeneuve's work. And they said that Villeneuve's work, while impressive, doesn't have heart. Maybe Chloe Zhao can do that. I really disliked Nomadland, but because I had a problem with the message of the film, and I thought it was a little sloppy in that department. But stylistically and in making me think about stuff, it was very impressive. So maybe Chloe Zhao can do it. Also, the other problem is, will super religious people maybe find the movie sacrilegious? Is the MCU saying that these are their gods and angels and there's more than one god? That's interesting. And speaking of gods, here they're introducing a completely new mythology, Lord of the Rings style. We got to learn all these characters' names. You know, in the past, people have been familiar with the Marvel characters that they're bringing into live action, either from the comics and sometimes from animation. Animation, the animated series over the years have really filled a lot of people in. But there ain't nothing really for Eternals except those comics. Couple different iterations. I've tried to read all, I think there's been 3 of them. I've tried to read all 3. Just can't get into them. I've not enjoyed any of them. And they had some really good talent working on the latest one. Kieran Gillen and I think Esad Ribic was doing the artwork. I mean, that's a dream team. And I still was like, oh, I don't get this. So let's see. Let's see what Chloe Zhao can do. And then finally, before we dive in, some pretty big spoilers have leaked for this movie. Be careful. So that affects my coverage a little bit. Like, for instance, I really can't talk about Icarus. All right, so let's dive in. But I'm going to talk about his amazing powers, and he's basically Marvel Superman. They've got Marvel Superman. They've got Marvel Wonder Woman here. It's pretty crazy. All right. I think that having them all have the same basis for their powers, this gold energy, I think that helps a lot in making them seem more unique. All right, here we go. And I do appreciate the National Geographic aspects of this movie. Oh, look at that. Ajax on a horse. That's really nice. She's living the simple life. Well, there's like a Natalie Wood movie that has a movie poster that looks exactly like this, actually. All right. So there she is. See, I told you, camping. Like, I would be not happy here. I'd be like, this is my version of hell. It's pretty bad. So anyway, she's here talking to Icarus, and they're talking about Thanos. And by the way, Thanos is supposed to be part deviant based on the comic, so I wonder if they'll bring that up. And if he was part deviant, then they should have been able to interfere, so I guess they're going to take that out, which I think is what some of you were referring to in the comments on my reaction. So she's like, and then look, those idiots, that Tony Stark. I'm like, you leave Tony Stark alone. So like she brought back, and I guess angels and gods don't care about the details. They just care about humanity as a whole. Is that the loophole here? They don't actually care about Tom, Dick, and Harry. They're like, just the guys. And we don't care who's in the guys. And you're like, what? I guess that's also what your orientation is in life. Are you like, do you care about the individual or do you care about the big picture? I'm a big individual person. So that makes me also very Tony Stark. All right. I'm bringing Tom, Dick, and Harry back, damn it. All right. So she's like, it's just a snap. And they've unleashed, like, I think that's a cool global shot. Like, you know, Chloe Zhao, that's pretty neat. But when they came back to they'll turn the lights on, they're like, I'm back, let me get on my phone immediately. Maybe that's what's happening here. As soon as everybody snapped back, they took out their cell phone and the world lit up. But I thought that was interesting. And so they've created enough energy to create some kind of awakening. And then look at that. Like, we don't have enough problems on Earth. Get out of here. And look, I thought this was funny. You know, Kevin Feige's been going around saying, all this stuff's real that she's shooting. She's not using green screen. And I'm like, oh, is this real? Is this real too? It looks real. To the VFX team's credit, it's like, she went to a real apocalypse. And so he's like, how much time do we have? And she says, 7 days. And I go, even I got that theological reference. I'm like, I think that little gold streak in his hair is interesting. It's like his powers. Has he aged slightly? All right. Leave your cactus behind, Ajax. It's time to ride into action. So that's cool. They're using the gold energy, and I'm like, did that thing poop that out? I don't know what's going on here. They seem to be in some kind of like Eternals class. And I guess they're getting their powers maybe, or it's waking. Oh, I think it's waking them up. Oh, I hope it did. Maybe it came out of it. I don't know. I guess, so they're like in hypersleep. They're getting woken up. They're going by the sun. Oh, but is that where they get their, oh, maybe they get their energy. Is that sunlight, that gold? That's kind of interesting. All right. And Icarus flew too close to the sun. I'm starting to appreciate those aspects of this movie. All right. So that means you just can't leisurely watch it. You're like, let me get my notepad out. All right, so anyway, there they are landing. They're like, hey, what's up? We're your new police force, whether you like it or not. And you need us. So there's a deviant. We finally see one. Looks pretty good. I like that. That looks like definitely something we should get rid of. So there, yeah, boy, I love the I-beams. So there's Icarus, and it's getting his Superman on. You missed! You missed! How do you miss that thing? If I was a caveman, I'd be like, what? All right, so anyway, those are some nice wings, though. The Deviants are nicely designed. So this is funny. So this is Gemma Chan's Circe, who likes the humans the most. He likes to go and be with them. And so here she is on a date with Dane Whitman, Kit Harington, a human. And I think it's funny. She's like, oh yeah, this is real human. And that human woman would be like, why are we at the laundromat for our date? So he's trying to find out, like, why don't you interfere? And she doesn't give a good example. She should have done the whole angels and God thing. But I guess she doesn't want to call herself angel or a god. She's like, I got to tell someone else to tell him this. Also, by the way, she's a museum curator. I can't believe it. That's just like Wonder Woman. I'm kind of annoyed about it. Wonder Woman's too slow establishing dominance. Although, would Marvel really care? They're aggressive, boy. Also, I really have to say, Gemma Chan is supposed to be the lead here, and I didn't particularly like her work in Crazy Rich Asians or in the Captain Marvel. But I didn't watch the show in the UK that made her famous. But I thought that her work as Namari, the voice of Namari in the recent Raya and the Last Dragon movie, was phenomenal. So I'm very excited to see her in action here. All right. So she's looking back at all the things, the horrors that they've witnessed. That is a big one. But they're like, no, that's okay. We just kind of killed time for 7,000 years. And they're like, we can't interfere or we're going to get in trouble with our gods, our boss. And so there's one of them. That's a celestial, although we have a cooler shot of a celestial actually doing something a little later in the trailer. I'd be like, where do I look? It's got so many eyes. So like, we got to round everybody up. So I guess for 7,000 years, they've just kind of been hanging out. They're like, wow, these deviants aren't doing anything. They had children and Thanos, baby deviant. All right, so anyway. So we have to find out what they've been doing for so long, for centuries. And it looks like Barry Keoghan's druid just got fired off Why the Last Man. That's what really happened to him. But as a character, he apparently has gone all Kurtz and lives in the Amazon, and he has a cult because his power is mind control. I wonder how they'll show that with the gold energy. There's Sprite. And so all right, so here's Angelina Jolie's Thena, like Athena, get it? And she and Gilgamesh, played by South Korea's Don Lee, his power is like boxing, but he has powerful gloves that he gets. But she can materialize any weapon. So they've gone off together. Everybody else kind of has gone solo, but they've been a pair. They're not happy awkward. Boy, imagine not seeing someone for thousands of years and then they show up. I like this shot. I appreciate the nature shots a little bit more, although I do like the action shots when they use their power. But that's pretty nice. Maybe that's where the Deviants live. I don't know. So Sprite here, who can make illusions. I'm like, that's Danny Moonstar. But anyway, she's saying at least we have a front row seat for the end of the world. I gotta show what happened here. Did she make herself invisible? She's a child. But again, it's, she's actually much older than she appears. Like we just recently saw with Omega in Star Wars The Bad Batch and Kristen Dunst in, Interview with the Vampire. I mean, they've done that before. So he says, joke about your sarcasm has never saved the world. Oh, look, so see? All right, so this is Brian T. Henry's Phastos, and he's basically Forge. X-Men fans, I'm helping you understand their power set. So he's like Forge, and he's an inventor and a creator. That's how he uses the energy to make things. And so this is what I think is happening here. And I have to say, based on the Shang-Chi trailers, I'm pretty much able to determine all the story points that they revealed there. But in Shang-Chi, there are a lot of story points they didn't reveal. And the same thing here, because they have actually not shown very much of this movie with just 2 trailers. So I think they've been apart for so long, and they buried their ship, and they're going to finally raise it. So how long has it been buried there? Like for 7,000 years? I mean, I wonder, like Wonder Woman, what made them decide to just hang it all up? Because at the beginning they were policing the deviants and interfering a little, at least interacting with humans in their costumes. So I'll be curious to see what that was. If one of their boyfriends blew up in a plane trying to save everybody, I won't believe it. All right. They're like, yes, we got it. Everybody was like, Marvel's like, come on, Chloe Zhao, so we can put that on our trailer. And there it is in all its beauty. And there they are. Now, is that when they first land on Earth, or is this when they get resuited up? I'll be curious to see. They're like, still fits? Woo! I ate what I wanted for 7,000 years, and I can still wear this thing. All right, so there she is. She's creating her illusion fireworks. Thank you. They're like, we love them. We braided their hair and did fireworks. I think angels do a little bit more than that. But it's enough to make Icarus fall in love. He's in love. He's like, want to braid my hair next? All right, so they're in Camden Lock, a real place in the UK. And there's a battle here. So their date got interrupted. And look, she's going to use her powers and turn that truck into rose petals. Nice job, Cersei. She's not so distracted fighting that she can't make sure she makes a good impression on him for their date. Was it a little too much, though? Was it a little too of an aggressive move? He's like, whoa, this relationship's moving too fast. So this is like, I wonder where she is. And I'm like, don't touch it. Don't touch it, Cersei. But she does. And look, that's pretty cool. Who doesn't want to see that in IMAX, right? And this too. Wow, that's very nice. Now look at that. So that is obviously Kumail Nanjiani, but he's playing Kingo. I have my cheat sheet here, whoever one's the character's name is. And he is, you can obviously see, can literally go pew, pew, pew. I hope he does that. And I have to say, I thought that his blasts were a little small, but they seem potent, because look how far that thing goes back. So there's a Celestial. And there he's doing some godlike stuff. He seems to be creating a galaxy. That's very pretty. It almost looks like he's serving it up at a cart, like cotton candy. Who wants a galaxy? Here you go, or a balloon animal. I made you a whole civilization. All right, so, and it just sits in the corner of some child's room. All right, so that's that for a metaphor. So there's Thena. That's one of her best weapon constructs. And I actually appreciated Angelina Jolie's interview, and she said, I had to do all these poses, and I had no idea what the VFX team was going to come up with. She's like, am I throwing knives? Am I throwing a whip, a sword? And I thought that was really interesting. But she's selling it. She's selling it. And boy, the VFX team did not disappoint. No, who could imagine that, until they saw this movie? I'll be like, wow, the detail work. So that looks fantastic. So here, I think they're all taking on the same deviants. This is all from the same action sequence when they first arrive. And so deviants are coming out. I guess they all arrived together. The deviants literally crawled out of the sea. That's interesting, just like human evolution. Hey. All right. So they're all fighting them. They got green blood. So there you see, Gilgamesh is using his powerful boxing gloves. Hit it right in the face. And there's, that is Lauren Ridloff, Makari, who's a speedster, who they don't show very much in this trailer. She's a deaf actress. And the idea is that she, broke the sound barrier and this, as a character, and that's what hurt her hearing. I think that's a pretty interesting idea. All right, so anyway, and there's Icarus being pretty upset. We've seen people lose their temper and shoot eye beams many a time, but not gold ones. So here's Thena with I think this is like the deviant leader. In the comics, sometimes Thena hooks up with the deviants. She feels they can be friends. Although, I don't know, unless she's into bondage, this is not a good, cute meetup because she's tied up. And I don't know what's going on with her eyes. I'm curious as to what's happening here. It's like, you can't save them. And look, there he is. So there's Icarus in regular human clothes. He keeps missing. And so they're there in the jungle. Oh, so this is above where Druig is staying with his cult. And so it's not going well. And look, yeah, that's great. That's very cool. I just don't get tired of I-beams. They're an awesome power. All right. Although you got to be looking at them, and so that's a good thing to get his head in the dirt. That deviant is smart. And then we get some Marvel humor here at the end with a little thing where he says, oh, nice hideout. Is this a vibranium table? And I thought this was funny. I thought it was funny. And he says it's IKEA collection. Fall IKEA collection. Fastos is the one who is an LGBT character. And so pretty cowardly, Marvel, not to show his husband in this scene. He can't be there too, but he should walk in any minute in the actual movie. Let's see if once again they create it in a way that they can, they shouldn't do this, but they edit it for foreign audiences where that's a problem. And, I would think Chloe Zhao would not do that. So let's see what happens. And I think Chloe Zhao would she won an Oscar. I think she could say, don't do that to my movie. Although, they have a lot of problems with her in China, and her movie might not even be released there at all for that reason. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with this movie. I'm curious to see how it will do, and how will it do opposite Dune? And they might both be on streaming. Dune will be on HBO Max, and we'll see what happens with Eternals. They're like a week apart or something, or like 2 weeks apart, really close. All right, so how does the movie look to you, and what do you think of this whole theological angle? Share your thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.